Thanks for clicking on the video. Like, subscribe, and share if you find this useful or interesting. Okay, so the last episode was pretty brutal. Spent an hour and 20 minutes making all these combined 3D polygons that were built with 2 sketches each. And we got something that I like. I'm going to turn off perspective. And so now I have nice curvature everywhere from the top. And I can control the curvature from the elevation as well. Now this thing looks pretty silly. There's a couple of things I want to do. I want to reduce the width in the center because it looks ridiculously thick, bulgy in the center right now. And I want to play around because right now this thing is really flat in the middle, and it just has a tiny little bit of curve at the tail and a lot of curve at the nose, but it's only at the very tip. I really wish this was more gradual. What do I mean? If I look at my curves right now, this is pretty flat. I want to get these curves looking a lot smoother all the way from the front to the back. So to do that, I have half of these sketches available. I'm going to hide the ones that look like completely straight lines because those are the ones that control the outline as seen from the top. And basically what I have available is these curves here. So I can, but remember on these we can only set the local Z height. So before I start adjusting these, I've got to ask myself, do I want to make any changes to the sections? And actually I do. The nose right now is the nose face is completely vertical. I want it to be kind of like this. So it kind of has an equal angle between the upper surface and the lower surface. It's kind of like a straight cut. And same thing here. I want to rotate this line a little bit here to make it even. So how do I do that? Well, those shapes are from my layouts. So I'm going to turn this off right here. If you remember, we now have a layout structure that defines the outline, the elevation, and the elevation of the sections. So I could make a really complicated way to rotate this silk pose, and then the sketch of the layout would follow. But this is the last item where I'm not going to be building anything else off of here. So really, I could just rotate the attachment offset. I said I wasn't going to do that much anymore. Well, I don't rely on it, but I can use it in simple situations. So before I do anything, I'm going to reduce the quality of my display surfaces because I had them pretty high. Select all the final surfaces, deselect the folders, and right here I'm going to go 0.5. This should recompute fairly quickly, I hope. And the reason I'm doing this is so we don't have to wait like this when we're doing every single edit. So please, and then here I'm just going to go all the way back up to 28. And now I should be able to do fast edit on things. I'm going to turn on the primary curves and surfaces. And then I'm going to take, like, say, I'm looking at the nose right here. Let's put ourselves in the right side view so that Y is to the right, Z is up, and X is towards us. I want to rotate this nose layout in the X-axis. So I'm going to put a 0 for the Z, a 1 for the X. And this is I'm doing the nose right now. I'm doing the nose, so I want it to rotate that way. That's counterclockwise. That's positive for the X in this direction. And I'm going to say 45. Yeah, that looks about right. Let's do the same thing on the tail. And this time it's going to be a negative rotation. Let's do minus 10. Ooh, put a 0 on that because I forgot to change my axis. So it was twisting in not the way I wanted. Put a 0 here. Put a 1 here. Minus 10. It's not quite enough. Minus 15. Yeah, minus 15 looks about right. It looks about perpendicular to the top and bottom. Okay. So now what else do I want to do? I think the middle is too thick. So I want to edit the layout of the center. And that's just the 4 lines that all the curves are attached to. I'm going to take this 75, go to 50. Okay, so it reduced quite a bit, but I have a lot of curve on the top and a lot of curve on the bottom. So I'm going to edit those. Turn on Control Sketches, find the sketch for the top surface. When did I didn't realize I was in curve. Let's go back to Silk. Go right here. Take this 30 by 15. All right, so the deck is not so curved left to right. Mostly flat, just a little bit of curve. And then I'm also going to do the bottom. And actually, I think some surfboards have the center with an inverted curvature. I don't know if that's appropriate for this board, but I'm just going to do it. See, I'm just give it just a little bit of reverse curvature on the bottom. Okay, so now it bows towards the top and the center, but I still have nicely rounded ends. Okay, let's take a look in the right view. Okay, this is looking a lot more reasonable, at least in terms of the thicknesses. This is reasonable. Now I'm ready to adjust these curves. So if you remember, in the elevation sketches, so I'm gonna turn off all the vertical ones again. Turn off the layout. Turn off this guy. I just want to look at this, and I don't want to look at the ones that control the outline from the top. So I'm gonna hide those. And because I didn't sort them into 2 separate folders, I have to do this by hand. Very quickly, it would have been worth creating a folder. But let's just suffer through it right now. Okay, and now when I look in this view, I see the sketches that control the curves front to back, and specifically the sketches that control the elevations front to back. So I'm going to turn on just my primary curves and surfaces, and let's start editing some of these sketches we see. This one right here looks okay. This one here is going down too fast. It's thinning out too fast in my opinion. Open the sketch. Now I'm in the view of that sketch, which is very close to the right view, but not exactly the right view. I'm going to switch to the right view. And here I'm going to say this minus 30, let's try minus 20 instead. Okay, that brings it up and that thickens it. I think that looks about okay. And at the end, does it need to go down this sharply? Let's try minus 20. Okay, I like that. Minus 20, minus 20. Let's find the next one. Okay, so that's the next one on the bottom. It's fine. I want to find this one. This is the one right here. This is the equivalent of the one we just edited, but it's above. Put myself in the, cancel this, put myself in the right, in the right plane view. Do minus 20 here. And here, minus 20 as well. Okay, so now both curves match. And I think that looks okay. I think I can go ahead and hide that sketch, hide this sketch as well. Okay, I think this top curve looks more or less okay for now. Let's leave it be. But now when I look in here, I think it's just way too flat. But I don't really want to pull, so I could try to pull this one down. Switch to the right. But I can't go down very far. I certainly don't want to go down below horizontal. I don't mean that the board goes downward from here. This point should be the neutral resting point, so to speak. So I can't, I can't go very far here. Let me try negative 90. I started at 85. Okay, this is still above horizontal. Okay, minus 95. Okay, that's too far. That went under. That went under horizontal. Let's go back to minus 90. Let's do the same thing on the back curve right here. Switch to the right view. Minus 90. Okay. Maybe let's do these upper curves here, because now the front is really thick, right? I pulled this down, that made this part even thicker. This one I want it to be also almost down to horizontal. Let's try minus 60. What does that do? That might be good enough. Let me do that on the back curve and then we'll look at it again. The back curve is the last one right here. Minus 60. Because remember that because these points get their x from the other sketch, I don't have that much room to really change them. So this is about as much as I can do right now. And I find it to still be maybe a little bit too flat. Let me turn these off, turn the final surfaces on instead, hide the control sketches, and look at it. Yeah, it's turning really sharp here, but this whole section right here is really, really flat. And that's because if I look at the sketches that control the overall, they're all dragged out towards the left and all dragged out towards the right. So that's a limitation right here. What can I do about that? It's like, well, even if I like these shapes like this, we can still shift these points around and have very similar curves. Let me show you what I mean. In order to do what I want in the vertical plane, I need these points here to move back this way and these guys to come along a little bit more. But I like the current shape. So what do? Well, I'm going to delete these dimensions here and turn off auto update so it's easier to move things around. Let me show you what I mean. Even if you like this curve, see, right, and right now I'm going to change the lower curve, but we still have the upper curve as a witness to what it's supposed to look like, more or less, with an offset. I can drag these points, actually turn auto update back on so we can see the changes. I can drag these points around. It keeps grabbing the line when all I want to grab is the point. What I want to say is I can get this point and this point to come this way and still have a curve. Please don't select that line. Let me select the point. And I can still have a curve that's very much like the upper one. Is it exactly the same? No, it's not exactly the same. But I can move my points around quite a bit and still have basically the same shape. And the difference between the two right now is that I was able to drag these points back towards the center. So when I'm editing my heights, I'll be able to have an effect in the center instead of having all my effect concentrated all the way to the end. So let's do that. Let's just be more dramatic. Let's say I'm trying to bring this point here all the way back to here. What do I need to do with this one to make that happen? Well, this right here isn't too bad. I'm in the top view, so really this guy should be almost horizontal anyway. So let's put it close to horizontal. Hey, I just got them pretty close to being offset from each other again. Not exactly, because the tangency at the end definitely has changed. But overall, the curve still looks pretty much the same. So if I just do what I did here to all these curves, I'll still have basically the same shape, but now the point distribution will be better. So I'm just gonna KL this guy. And right here, change this to 175, and this guy to minus 135. And then this guy here, KL him again. That's KL is the shortcut for the constraint lock that I use all the time. This I'm gonna say it's 625. I'm trying to make numbers that I can remember, and then this I'm gonna say it's minus 90. But I gotta make sure that this doesn't go below horizontal, because then I would be creating an inverted pinch in the center, and the blend might be able to deal with it, but that feels silly. In general, I want to have outward corners and then I cut them. So I think this is on the bottom here, you can see my new version of the curve, which is pretty much the same shape, but I've shifted my points along. Okay, 175, 135, 625, minus 90. Matter of fact, I'm going to hide the surfaces, but I do want to see the curves. Okay. 175, 135, 625, 90. And now I go to the next one. I want to do the same thing I just did to this one. I open it, turn off auto update for a second because I just want to delete all my dimensions real quick. I want to drag things to what I think are the approximate positions. Now I'm going to turn auto update back on and KL on this guy, and now I can see that what the number is supposed to be, 175. And this guy here, same. It says minus 122, that's minus 125. And then this guy here, KL, this says 610. I'm going to say minus, I'm going to say 600 and minus 90. That looks about right. Close. And so now I want to do this on these two and then something similar on the other side. Let's check those numbers again. Actually, I'm going to do it as a batch. I'm going to do 175, 125. Take this guy on the bottom. 175, 125. Then I'm going to do the same change on this guy. So I only have to remember two numbers at a time. 175, 125. Okay, and the other one is, actually I remember it's 690. So it's just, I should have just done them all. 690. Then I go to this one here. 600. This here. 90. This guy here. 600. 90. And the whole point of all this, and I'm not using a mixed curve, like I think if you want to combine two curves with as many control points as you want in either of them and not have to make any of these sacrifices, Curves Workbench can hook you up. But in Silk, we really, really want to keep these combined 3D polygons to be 4 points, and so we spend time setting up the setup and the different planes to get the shape we want in both directions. Let's take a moment here and check our surfaces. That looks fine. I'm going to turn on the view sets. And yep, it looks fine in top view. And when I look in side view, I haven't edited anything now, but actually I think I can already see the difference, to be honest. I think I already see a more gradual curve. It's not shooting straight and then only curving at the last minute. By pulling the points back this way, I'll check my heights, but right now I don't even want to edit them. I have made this curve much more gradual, much more evenly distributed from the center to the end. That's what I wanted. So, seems to be working. Okay, and now I want to do something similar for the front end. let me do the views correctly. I want to look at my curves. And basically what I'm saying is I want to edit this curve so that I bring these points to the left, but I don't want the end result to be that different from what I have right now. Now here, I don't want to delete all these because this is the side where I have to select this point, then do constraint lock, and I end up with a bazillion extra things. So here I'm just going to do it differently. On the other side, minus 600 worked for this guy, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it's minus 600. And then I'm just going to edit this dimension to make it look like this curve. And also, I already have another clue, is that I don't want this line to be going downward from the origin. If anything, it should be horizontal or slightly above. So here I'm going to reduce this, just go straight up minus 100. Okay, that's clearly too much. Minus 120. That's close. A little bit more. Minus 130. Okay, that's pretty close to horizontal. I'm going to stop here. And now here, I know that I want to make this longer, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Minus, I think it was like 175 or something like that. Something like that I did on the other side. And then I have to increase this guy. Minus 135. I think 175, 135, that was it. Okay. That's pretty close. It's not exact, right? But this curve is still awfully similar to this curve, but now I move my points. So what do? 600, 130, 175, 135. I think maybe I was at 125 on the other one. Minus 125. Let's do that. See what that does. Yeah, actually I like that. 175, 125, 600, 130. Go to this one. Minus 600. Minus 130. And then here, minus 175. Minus 125. Okay, my lines are back to being close to parallel, and I've effectively shifted these control points this way. It's a little bit different than what it was before, but I think it's fine. So let's see. Actually, let's take a look at the difference. Right? I've pulled these points here, so this surface is shifting here, and you can actually see that in the blend because now the blends are starting at different cuts, and you can see it in the tip that by pulling the points this way, I'm making the blend bigger right here. But the overall shape is not that different. If anything, it's a little bit more pointy, and I'm actually very okay with that. So let's do what we did here, up here. Although, I'm not super happy about that. This feels like it's pinching towards this guy a little bit too much. Instead of 130, it's like minus 125 maybe for this one. The lower one is fine. Right, this lower one is fine, but this is pinching a little bit too much. As a matter of fact, maybe even minus 120. Yeah, because I don't really care about these points being exactly the same spot, but I care about these lines being more or less parallel right here. And on this one, do I want to reduce this to maybe minus 120? Yeah, I like that better. So it'll be 120 and 120 on this guy, 130 and 125 on the lower one. Let's do it. Lower one, right here. Minus 600. 130. Minus 175. 125. And this one. Minus 600. Here I'm going to do minus 120 instead of minus 130. except it's not a negative, it's a positive. And Q. And then here, minus 175 and 120. Okay, this might not be perfect, but I wanted to show you the principle here. I was able to maintain a similar shape and pull my points back. Now my points have a more even distribution, and that's going to help me a lot when I'm setting the heights and creating the vertical shape. As a matter of fact, let's see what the effect of what we did just now is. See, now there's a little bit of a bounce right here. The blend is there, but it's bending, and that's because I've allowed this line to go down too far, because I moved the curves, I dragged everything back to the left, and so this point that was here has just gotten shifted here, and now it's pulling down too hard on this portion. I definitely don't want this curve to be going below horizontal. So let's fix that. I'm going to hide all the elevation sketches, all the outline sketches, so that I only see the elevation sketches. And if I had created folders, I wouldn't be having to do all this manual stuff. See, ooh, look at that. Yeah, this is horrible. See, this guy here, I need to pull these guys back up to horizontal at least. And same here, I need to pull these guys back up to horizontal. But even if I pull these guys back up to horizontal, the board will start curving sooner than it did, because it'll start curving more or less around this point. So even if this is horizontal, the curve will be able to start. So let's just do all these guys in order here. Put myself in the right side view, and I'm going to make this not below horizontal. Try minus 20. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that reference. Minus 20. Is that just about horizontal? Yeah, that's just about exactly horizontal. And then I'll do the one behind it. In the right view, they should look the same. It's 20. Okay, that's fine, but now this guy also needs to be horizontal. Right now it's at minus 20. Get myself in the right side view. Let's try minus 10. You could have a really fancy scheme to control these dimensions. I'm just roughly using these linear dimensions here to create what I want. You could have a complex reference system that guarantees that these are always perfectly horizontal. I don't really care right now. This is still going slightly downward. Is that appropriate? That might be appropriate. Let's just do both of these. Wait. This guy is way down. Minus, what am I supposed to go to? Cancel, sorry. I was talking, forgot what I was doing. I'm going to use this as my reference. And what did I do? 10. Okay. Yeah, obviously. Didn't trust myself. Let me see the dimension. Let me grab it. Minus 10. Okay, it's close to horizontal. On the face of it, I don't see an issue. Let's take a look at the surfaces. That looks okay in and of itself. Let's not worry about it. Let's fix the big stuff. This guy. Align it to the right view. I want to get it to horizontal. Minus 40. It's got a long way to go. Okay, that was too much. Now it's high above horizontal. Minus 50. Minus 50 is still slightly below horizontal. There's no reason for this to be below horizontal. Minus 45. Ever so slightly above horizontal. Let's do the same thing on this one. We could have created a symmetric model, but we're just playing around and seeing what we can do with the topology that we've created with our blob. Remember, this is still our blob. Take a quick look at the surfaces. Yeah, this upper edge looks fine in and of itself. If I look at the blend, it's blending fine. So let's do something similar on these guys. Align myself to the right side view. The sketch is still pretty much aligned. I can edit it meaningfully. And I want this to be, I don't know, let's try. Definitely not below horizontal. Ooh, 70 wasn't even enough. I was trying to overshoot, but 70 is still ever so slightly below horizontal. Minus 65. Not below horizontal. Right view. Minus 65. Boom. Yeah, if I had symmetry, obviously I would only need to do it on one side. This is looking pretty decent on the face of it. Let's turn on the view sets. This looks okay. I don't want to look at the sketches right now. The main surfaces, the primary surfaces look okay. Let's turn off the view sets. Yeah. This looks fine. It's slightly thick in the front, and I think that's okay. I think surfboards are supposed to have a little bit more body, a little bit more volume in the front, because that's where your body mass is when you're paddling. So there's no obvious problem on the face of it. But look now, already, much more continuous curve. It's not completely flat in the middle. I had to sacrifice a little bit of my shape in the outline, but not that much, in order to drag the control points back towards the center so that all these control points are more evenly distributed, and now I have reasonable control over the elevation. Actually, we might be done for today. What else do we need to do before we do the next level blending, which eliminates the defects and is just super cool? Well, right now this front face is completely flat, and the tail is completely flat. The tail being completely flat is fine. We can call it a feature. We can call it an intentional feature that there's just a little spot on the back end here that's just exactly flat. But at the tip, we should give, because we're trying to make a pointy nose, we should give the primary surface some curvature. So what we did for these edges, making them 3D, we'll do that also. But here we already have sketches. So we already have one sketch, one poly, one curve. We just need to make one more sketch, one more poly, combine and swap. So we'll do that for this shape, for this curve right here. We'll give it some projection in this direction, and we'll do that for this curve on the bottom. We'll give it some projection in this direction. And if we're really, really full of energy, we might even give these guys a 3D version. But for now, I've just shown you how to adjust these curves and how to split the available design power between the top view and the elevation view. And we had a pretty good shape on the outline, and now we have spread the love to the curve so that it's much more distributed over here. See, there's still a flat section, but now I'm not mad at it anymore. Before, the flat section was like all the way up to here and then just a little bit of curve at the front. Now this feels like, no, this is fine. And if I wanted more curve in the back, I could totally have it. I could raise my tail, or I could edit those points on the tail. Anyway, I'm having fun. I hope you enjoyed as well. And I'll catch you on the next one.